I guess the only way to start this is because I always, I never specifically dress up for a certain show, which I don't know if you'd call this dressing up, but I went to go see my buddy Greg Chait. I'm gonna give him his last name too, whose dad was a huge Bruce fan. Took us to, when I was like 12 years old, to go see Bruce during the Lucky Town. Was it Lucky Town and Human Touch, the two albums? Am I getting one of them wrong? But he did those double records. His dad brought us there. I think he was drinking the entire way to the Capitol Center. And then he dropped us off and went, like, he was with this girl and he was like, so you guys got your own tickets. I'm up front. And then me and Greg, a 13 and like a 12-year-old, just got lost in the arena at the Capitol Center in DC. And this is back during my stealing days. I saw a crack in one of the merch windows, and I pulled two shirts out, lost it, and then maybe 2 months ago I refound it at a vintage store. Not the exact shirt, but literally the exact shirt with the date on it and everything. So I felt this was apropos. Yes. I don't have any other Bruce clothes.
Yeah, that's good swag, man. Really good swag.
So I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that been this lifelong Bruce fan. I am a huge Bruce fan, but it's really developed more later in years. That concert though was this huge thing for me, because I think it was actually the first concert I went to by myself. Well, not by myself, but sans my parents bringing me to Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yeah.
So when did you get into Bruce?
I got into Bruce when I went to see a concert film called No Nukes. Okay. And I went because I love Jackson Browne. And it was in the days when we thought nuclear power plants were going to end the world. And
the day after.
Yeah. And everybody went. Everybody was at the concert. I hadn't even heard of Bruce. And in the movie, they keep talking about when's Bruce coming. It was Madison Square Garden. Bruce this, Bruce that. And then he comes out and he does Thunder Road and The River. And I sat in the theater. It was in the Cinerama Dome. And I literally was like struck by a bolt of lightning when Bruce came on. And I remember exactly, it was Thunder Road when he said the lyrics, is a dream alive? It don't come true, or is it something worse? And also that's The River, actually. But anyway, those two songs just blew me away, and I became a Bruce fan literally overnight. And then my first Bruce show was the 1981 The River tour, and I've probably seen him 30 times plus all over the world. I just saw him 2 weeks ago in Milan.
I saw a bunch of my friends went to that, which looked amazing, man. How was it? It was incredible.
It was great. And afterwards, Bruce said it was one of the best shows they've ever done. So for Bruce to say that, it was a good show.
Also, are you, with your level of fame, also, you probably get to go to the right side of the stage at some point and go, we're going to take you down to meet Bruce. Yeah. And you get to dude, it was great and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, have you been able to develop like a relationship with the guy at this point? You've seen him that many times and you've been famous probably just as long as he's been famous.
Well, it's funny. The way I first met Bruce was I went to Giants Stadium during the Born in the USA tour. And I had at the time the #1 movie out that weekend called St. Elmo's Fire. Or no, before St. Elmo's Fire. But I had a big movie out and everybody in the stadium was calling out to me, and it was causing kind of a commotion.
Sure, I can imagine.
And they brought me backstage because I went alone. And I just got a ticket and went, and to help me get protected, I went backstage and met everybody then. And that's how I met Bruce. So yeah, over the years, I've had a lot of great conversations with him, usually pre or post show.
Has he given you, I mean, this is like so jumping ahead of probably what the questions I want to ask, but has he ever given you just like a Bruce line, just like in a conversation that you're like, oh my God, like it's a lyric right here. And he's explaining it about my career and what I need to do.
Yeah. I mean, Bruce was part of a very very specific moment in my life. And that's why I'm a huge fan, is because his music has always spoken to me at every, Bruce is, he's cycling a generation ahead of me. So he's going through and writing about stuff that I'm about to enter in my own life always.
Sure.
And I can remember when I was, my wife and I, she was pregnant with our first kid, and I was wondering what that was going to be like, and going through all the stuff about it. And I remember I might have even said a little prayer about guidance and show me a sign and whatever, and went to lunch that day at the Sunset Marquee, which is where they always used to stay. And there's Bruce, the next table, with his newborn. And
Perfect timing.
I know, it was unbelievable. And so there's my guy, my North Star, with his newborn, after I've been asking about guidance, and he had a great conversation with me about what it is to be a young father. And that's just one of the things that over the years Bruce has talked about. And now I'm 61, and Bruce is singing about mortality and what we're meant to do with this part of our lives. And it's just as meaningful for me as when it was, what it meant to be I'm not a boy, I'm a man. And then, now I'm a father, and he's just always been right there for so many of us.
Oh my God. I've seen the love that the people that love Bruce have for Bruce. Whether there's my friend Greg, there's a producer for True TV, Maureen Taryn. I think she's seen him 50 or 60 times. And even when, like, because we've done on the podcast, this is usually, Bruce is one of the people that has been like fought over, for when we're doing these records. We've done, we did The Rising, we did Tunnel of Love, which really was, I hate to say it, besides Born to Run and Born in the USA, Tunnel of Love was my first real from start to finish listen. Yeah. And I mean, what is it? I don't want to fuck the title. What is it? Beautiful Disguise.
Brilliant
Disguise. Thank you. That, I mean, there's so many great songs on that. When I listen to The Rising and hearing the actual song, The Rising, I don't think there's ever been a more beautiful way to honor the people that died during 9/11. And I mean, listening to it, even with this record, it was like there were moments in it where I really started getting choked up because of the lyrics that, I mean, it's he kind of early on, and we're going to go through his history just to catch people up that might not know, but early on kind of got called, which is basically the kiss of death, which is the new Dylan.
Yep.
And he really, instead of like, I don't want to say fighting that, really was able to separate himself. And I think the reason why so many people love this guy, and I know you're from, if I'm not wrong, you're originally from Dayton, Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not from a small town, but I'm from the suburbs of Washington, D.C. But, he's really that hero for so many people that grew up with nothing, worked his ass off in the bar scenes, had what we don't know as an abusive father, but, probably like mine, probably wasn't the nicest guy in the world, and literally like, picked himself up from his bootstraps and just built this incredible career while still keeping the authenticity. And I think that is what it is when you're talking about going through those hard times, when you have someone that, because so many rock stars, I mean, it's hard to like look at like Robert Plant and be like, yeah, you know what I mean? I identify with everything when he's got a fucking kielbasa in his pants.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's something about, even Dylan, where Dylan, you get it, but he's just so cool. And you're like, I don't know if I could have
Dylan's super inaccessible.
Yes.
And Bruce is nothing but accessible.
Yeah.
And when he did his one-man show on Broadway and revealed that other side of himself that we didn't even know existed, which is the depression, the true manic depression that Bruce suffers with and has been very public about. And he's sharing like himself, and people need that. People want it in an era where there's less and less authenticity, particularly in music today. To have a singular voice that's honest is very, very rare.
Yeah, totally. I really don't know. Like, is there someone that's taken the torch from Bruce? You think that is, it was like to ask that question. It's like, so this is where we were, and like, where are we going? Like, who are the people picking it up? And you've seen you see the people that like wear Bruce on their sleeve, like the Killers, the Killers. I mean, love the Killers. I don't think there's as much. I'm not gonna sit there and say they're as authentic as they are being themselves, but there is that thing where it's like, yeah, the lead singer of the Killers kind of grew up Mormon. I think he had money, and he's kind of more of like a Las Vegas showman. Where Bruce, all those dude. I was watching that old video from him during the Born to Run tour, like from '75 in London, where he's wearing the big like that like cool like. I mean, he literally looks like a barista in Brooklyn, but he's just murdering it. And it's like you look at him, you're like, no, I know that guy. That guy works at an auto shop. Like, he changed my oil. And now he's on stage rocking and rolling. I think there's not many people out there that are doing that.
When also they have the self-awareness to, in Tunnel of Love, to write the lyric, about how hard it is to be a rich man in poor man's clothes. Where even Bruce realizes, yeah, he was that. But meanwhile, he's now flying around in private jets.
Yeah.
And to be able to be that self-aware that, he may have been a man of the people, but now, he's out on Geffen's yacht. And do you know what I mean? And he's owning it. You know what I mean? He has a way of owning the fact that his life is blessed and at the pinnacle of everything and with access to everything, yet he can still speak to people who will never come close to living that kind of a life.
Oh, dude, it's one of the frustrating things that I love about music. I also hate, which is so many bands. It's like, of course they're going to be successful if they're good, and you can't get mad at them. It's what they do with that success and still help people or bring awareness. Like one of my favorite bands, Rage Against the Machine, and so many people are like, they're charging this much for a ticket. It's like, they're now the Machine, and you're like, but they're giving away. They just gave away like $10 million, from the 5 shows they did at Madison Square Garden, to all these, to Amnesty International, to all these things. It's like, of course you're going to become successful. We bought the record, and we're just one of 20 million people. You think they're just going to go, nah, it's not. Money's not for us. I didn't do this. I did this for the art. There's art, but there's also, dude, sometimes you want to have a nice steak dinner,
Well, and that's the thing that I learned about Bruce in his book and in the one-man show. And frankly, I had a conversation with Patty once, his wife, Patty Scalfa, who said, people forget is Bruce is the most ambitious person I've ever met. And he's a showman.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great Bruceisms that I ever heard was when Patty originally was a background singer and tambourine player, and Bruce told her that he'd like her to play guitar on the new tour, on the Tunnel of Love tour. And she said, I don't know how to play. And he goes, well, you're going to practice every day, but you're going to practice in front of a mirror because 80% of it is posing. And I thought, I fucking love this man so much. I mean, again, the self-awareness to know that showmanship is just, and that's, I think, the part the Killers get. The Killers embrace the showmanship of Springsteen as well. And then I'd say there's a band called Dawes that I love. I love those guys.
We've had Taylor on the podcast too. He did, if I'm not mistaken, Rain Dogs, Tom Waits. So love Dawes.
So the Dawes guys remind me a lot of Bruce in a way. They're a little more like, they sound a little bit like Jackson Browne's backup band, which is a high compliment, with a dash of Springsteen. So I think the legacy is out there, but writ large, I feel like the line that Bruce founded and came from has kind of been discontinued. It's like a car that you don't see on the road anymore.
No, but every so often music kind of turns itself over and you find something. It's kind of what's going on in the world. And I think with the story that I'm about to read, to catch everybody up, which feel free, by the way, to jump in at anything that I say, because it's just kind of like just to catch everybody up. I mean, don't forget, man, he's coming in and getting started right after the Vietnam War. Or I think at the beginning, he's probably starting during the Vietnam War, because he gets signed in the early 70s. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to say this now just so you think I'm even cooler, is I got to jam with Jackson Browne and my friend Taylor, Tol Wilkenfeld at her house. And we did a couple songs. We did Helter Skelter and I sang. And then afterwards, Jackson came up to me and he was like, dude, you're a monster. And so that's, that's my little thing. You got your getting ready to have a kid talking to Bruce. I got Jackson Browne.
Yeah,
nicest dude in the world, man. And because of this podcast, doing like The Pretender, I mean, we did it. And it's
John Landau, Bruce's longtime manager, produced the track The Pretender.
And that episode that we did, which it means so much more to us and to the fans. We did that episode with Bob Saget. And dude, he got so like up because he loved that record and the emotions that it brought up. And a couple times we both got choked up. And then, of course, with him passing, it's such a special moment that I got to be able to share with him. So great music. Like I said, even this with Bruce, and then with whether it's with Jackson or with Radiohead and the people that I've had on, this is just a gift. So just to catch everybody up, let me see if I can skedoodle through this pretty quick. So he gets signed in the early 70s. He gets The Kiss of Death, being called the new Bob Dylan. He has Greetings from Asbury Park. By the way, he's cut his teeth as a bar band, but that's not an insult because he knows. And if you've ever, and I know you've seen a million bar bands. Were you ever in like a bar band or anything like that?
No, somehow I missed that, but it's never too late.
You just start now, dude. Start right now. When you're done with the floor, go right into that. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But the thing is, and this is what makes sense, is that you, as a bar band, dude, you're literally disturbing these people's good night. They do not give a shit that you're there. As a comic, I've done that a million times where it's just like, they didn't come here for comedy and I got to try to get them. So what that does is, just like you said, what he taught Patty, is it taught him, it's like, dude, we've got to put on a show to get these people to pay attention. And so
we're going to talk about Darkness on the Edge of Town. And one of my favorite lyrics as a young performer, a young actor, doesn't matter what you do, in Racing in the Streets, he says, I want to blow them all out of their seats.
Yes. And that's what you have to do.
And when he sings that lyric it's Racing in the Streets. That's the song. When he sings that lyric, you knew he meant it.
Yeah. You can tell, you can see it from those early shows. It's a guy that really had people not wanting to pay attention. So he had to do everything. And I think it's with all the touring. Also, don't forget, he's doing a lot of this in the in Jersey area and the Jersey Shore. And dude, I was just there recently at Vinnie Brand's Comedy Club. They're not the easiest people to perform in front of. I mean, they're really changed over there a little bit.
Yeah.
But he drops the second record. Oh, by the way, he gets a big hit, not by him, but he wrote Blinded by the Light, which is covered by Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Relentless touring. His second record comes out, Wild Innocent in the East Street Shuffle. It does okay, but no radio hits. Basically, the studio says it's make it or break it. We love this record, but there's 6-minute songs here. There's nothing for the radio. He doesn't play them. They don't play them on the radio, but the word on the street is that this infectious live show exists, and now his name is out there. But the record company wants hits, and so then you get Born to Run, where he merges the Dylan with Phil Spector's Wall of Sound. And whereas the first two are great, but there's thin production, you get this incredible sound that captures not only the live, but also the musicality and the songwriting. I mean, the lyrics, everything about it, it's the most Thunder Road is the most Bruce of Bruce. It's everything you love about him. Cars, struggle, the girls, let's get out of here, the rallying cry of every man America. I mean, what a better line than you ain't a beauty, but hey, you're all right. I mean,
roll down the window, let the wind blow back your hair. The night's busting open. These 2 lanes will take us anywhere. I mean, if you don't like Thunder Road, you don't like Bruce.
You don't like music, dude.
You don't like
You don't like,
music.
you don't like Thunder Road, dude. Something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
But this is his time to shine. And like we said, the live show's killing it, but now he's got the hits to match. And on the record, Born to Run, he's still playing all the guitars. He doesn't have the full E Street Band. He's got Clarence. But we think of the E Street Band only comes along for the Born to Run tour. So they're starting to join in later. This is huge. This record's, everywhere. He's touring nonstop. Bruce is a sexy blue collar monster on stage. But then, and this is where it starts getting finicky, his manager, Mike Appel, wants him to do a live album, but Bruce starts realizing he doesn't like the contract that he has with the manager, that he signed a bad deal. Plus this is where it gets weird too. People are now critiquing his authenticity because they think his lyrics aren't as dense and maybe he isn't the new Dylan. They think the popularity of Born to Run might just be hype and, or it's like he's been blowing smoke or something.
Well, because he was on the cover of Time and Newsweek on the same week.
Yeah.
And people don't like having stuff jammed down their throat.
Yeah.
And that in retrospect was maybe the worst thing that ever happened to Bruce in terms of the perception, because it was easy if you weren't paying attention to think it was a hype machine as opposed to being driven by talent.
Sure. But they have those first two records where you feel really showcase how great he is and the energy and everything. And now Born to Run is just a more polished version of that. But like you said, it's, even Nirvana, Pearl Jam, I had friends that were like, they suck, man. And it's like, dude, but they're some of the coolest music out there right now. They're super popular, but they were on Time. And it's like, once you get on Time magazine, it's almost the kiss of death for like being a cool rock star.
Yeah.
But with the live records, you have Frampton and Kiss Alive that both come out that became huge. So the management is hoping that if you play those songs from the first two records, put on a live record, then maybe people will buy those earlier records. Then with Born to Run, he's John Landau, who co-produces it. He wants to bring him back. He goes back, looks at his contract and realizes it isn't fair. He gets into a legal battle in 1976.
Well, we have to quickly introduce John Landau. So John Landau was a preeminent music critic when critics really meant something, and he saw Bruce in a club in New York City and published his critical review, I think in the Village Voice, and it remains to this day the single greatest, most famous opening line of any review ever. And John wrote, "I've seen the future of rock and roll, and its name is Bruce Springsteen."
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I knew of that, but I didn't know that he wrote that line. Dude, that's so badass. Yeah. But also the pressure that's on this guy, though, too. It's like when you're getting all the people calling you the new Dylan, the future of music. I mean, it's got it. I think, basically, I think that's what happens and gets us to this record.
Well, look at how many people have the sophomore slump.
Sure.
And I don't want to name names, but there are so many great albums out there. And then you realize that was all they had in them. That was it. It was a whole lifetime of bar banding and gigging and writing. And, they've got a catalog and they put their 12 greatest songs on an album and that's it. And we're sitting here doing this podcast today. I'm in my car riding in here, listening to 7 unreleased albums, 7 that Bruce just put out.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
How bad do you want to hear the Nebraska with the band? Would it ruin it for you?
Dude. No, I cannot wait. I mean,
you think he's going to release it?
I hope so. I think he will, because the band version of Atlantic City has become a focal point of every concert when he plays it. And I'm told that in the new Springsteen movie, which is about the making of Nebraska, that one of the high points is the band version of Atlantic City.
Ooh, yeah, that trailer looks incredible, dude. It gives you chills.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it really gives you chills. It looks like they're going to be doing it right. Perfect director, I think. Perfect casting. The guy playing John Landau, he's got Strong,
my buddy.
He's got it dialed in with an, and
I
then
saw
he
I saw
will
John. I saw John at the concert, and I took him aside. I said, "John, are you ready to be famous?"
shape.
So what do you mean? I said, "You're." I mean, look, everybody in Bruce world, you're Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi, but you're about to be famous to the world. Get ready.
That's so awesome. Ah, but that's what makes this so special, because he's dealing with John. He wants to get back to working with John, but he's got to finish this legal battle with his management. He settles in 77, pays
Takes
a
2
lump
years.
sum. Yeah, it takes
Takes
2 years, but basically nothing.
And he's
There's no.
barred. He's barred from recording.
Oh, I didn't know that. He's
Yeah,
barred.
so he toured. He toured relentlessly, but he was physically barred from recording until this legal battle was done. So as the legal battle finishes, he can finally get back into the studio, and in the studio he makes Darkness on the Edge of Town,
Which is so how Bruce has changed. It is not the optimism. It is not the young man looking to get laid. This is a guy that has been through shit. This is an album, finally with the E Street Band. He came in there with about 70 songs, supposedly up to about 70 songs. He had the titles before some of the lyrics. He wanted to call it Badlands, but then found out somebody else had named it Badlands. He's writing this record with a chip on his shoulder, and it reflects exactly what he's gone through. And I think, with what we do with this podcast, Rob, it's like, before we dive in, I just want to put it out there. Like, we both know this record, Darkness on the Edge of Town. It is heavy on themes of struggle, hardship, and perseverance. I'm going to do my best to keep this lighthearted, but it's like, because I know you've got such great comedic chops, but it's like, if it gets into anything deeper, don't worry, I will pull us out with something fun.
Don't you worry, I live for this. When I do E Street Radio, and I get to pick my set list, which I've done twice, and talk about the songs, it's some of my favorite things I've ever done in publicity. And I would say 3 or 4 times a month, somebody will come up to me at a Starbucks or somewhere and say, "Your set list is sick." So this is in my wheelhouse. I'm psyched to do it.
Is this if you have to put this in your, like, I don't know if I'm asking this too early. I maybe ask it at the end about if this is one of your, is this like, where does Darkness on the Edge of Town end up in your favorite Bruce records?
So it is certainly one of my favorites, if not possibly the. And the reason is, it's got, without Darkness, Bruce has no concert. Every concert you go to will have most of Darkness on the Edge of Town played live. Whether it's, I have let me go to my notes here. I mean, it's got Promised Land, Prove It All Night, Badlands. Just that's 3 songs right there that are in every show. I think it's his best album in terms of writing both moody, emotional stuff, and then anthems, stadium anthems. Because really, on the first 2 albums, there are no anthems, and on Born to Run, there is Born to Run and, I guess, Jungle Land, but this is where he finds his concert voice. The other thing I love about this album is my favorite version of Bruce. And Bruce, look, like, we all grow up and we get mellow, and Bruce is now kind of America's happy grandpa. But I liked seething, rageful Bruce.
It's so not you, though, dude. It's so, everything I know about you is that not you. Is that why you love it so much? You get to take out all your shit on this?
No, it's true. I mean, when you would see, you'll see it every once in a while when he's in the right mood today. But for the most part, between therapy, age, perspective, and meds, rageful, seething Bruce is dead. And it is alive and well in Darkness at the Edge of Town.
Sure. I don't think there's any record of his, that is up into this point, especially that is nothing this dark. And I don't think after this, you felt certain sadness in Tunnel of Love because he was going through the divorce. And I think in The Rising, it's really the hurt of the city.
Yeah.
And the Ghost of Tom Joad. I mean, there's some real, he's singing about, the everyman and very Arlo Guthrie type stuff. But this is, like I said, this is not the bar band Bruce. This is an angry dude that's been through shit. Yep. And I think it kind of trails into a little bit with the next record, because it's not the same, but it's definitely still not Born to Run. I mean, it's got, what has it got? Hungry Heart on that?
On The River? The River's
River.
Yeah, the River is a very, like, and I don't mean it in a bad way, kind of unfocused. It's got bar band, Sherry Darling, but it's got The River on it, which is maybe my all-time favorite Bruce song. It's kind of all over the place, but this one has no Sherry Darlings on it.
No, it doesn't.
This has no Mary's Place on it.
No.
This is a super gnarly Bruce album.
Yeah. And it starts with the opening track with the title taken from the 73 Malick film.
Oh, wait. How about this? This is what I just learned. I just learned this week. Bruce, and this is Scott Cooper told me this, who directed the Bruce movie.
Exclusive.
Bruce, when he wrote Badlands, had never seen the movie Badlands.
Really? He just liked the title, or he just saw the vibe of it? And
I always assumed he had. When he did see Badlands, it fucking rocked his world, and he became obsessed with the story of Badlands, which is the story of the character that later he inhabited in Nebraska. So Badlands made him write in Nebraska, notwithstanding the fact that he'd written the song Badlands years and years and years and years before.
That's crazy, because it almost feels like this song could be written to fit the movie almost.
That's right.
But yes, if you haven't seen the Terrence Malick film from 73, with melodic inspiration from Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood by the Animals and some lyrics lifted from King of the Whole Wide World by Elvis Presley from his movie Kid Galahad. The second single is still a powerhouse. That's in most live sets. I mean, I know I don't think he wrote this lyric, but poor man want to be rich, rich man want to be king, and a king ain't satisfied till he rules everything. It's like, just gives you chills listening to this song. It sounds more upbeat than lyrically what it is. And I think that's what I kind of love about it.
It's the first song I ever heard Bruce play live. It is Badlands remains one of my favorite songs ever. To see Bruce play Badlands is as good as it gets live. I mean, the other thing I'll say about Darkness is Bruce was still figuring out the production, and it very famously, if you've ever seen any of the many documentaries about Bruce in the studio, there's the very famous story about how he could never get the drum sound right, and spent months and months and months, literally months, trying to get the drums to be bigger and bigger and bigger until he realized that sonically there's only so much you can do. And I'm not an engineer, so I don't really know what the intricacies of it are, but the remaster of Darkness, which came out about 10 years ago, is remasters for the most part for me. I can't really tell the difference. The remastered Darkness is a revelation, because they got those drum sounds to sound the way they finally wanted, because I don't love the production on Darkness. I love the songs, but every single song on the album is exponentially better live.
Sure.
So when I listen to Darkness, I'm reliving those songs live, but they don't exist live unless they're on the album in the first place.
Do you think, not to disagree with what you're saying, but because if you don't like it, you don't like it. Do you think that, I think he probably made that choice because he didn't want it to sound like Born to Run. He wanted this to be a singular record. So I know you like the live versions more, but it's the grittiness of the record, I think that leaves it. And then on top of that, for them to have the remaster and re-release, do you like that? You like that version better? Or
Oh, the remastered re-release, I love.
okay, good.
I love it. I love it. And it's purely Bruce never got the sound he wanted. He talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
And with technology and learning, whatever, 5, 10, 15 years ago, he was able to remaster it. He finally got the sound he wanted. You should hear Max's opening drum fill remastered on Badlands. It's sick.
Oh, God, I missed him. I was in Europe when he was coming around here, so I will catch him soon. Maybe next time I get the invite to Milan, Rob.
Yeah, of course.
I got miles on Delta, dude, and there's a hub there, I think.
There's a hub.
So, all right. So if Born to Run's opening track, Thunder Road, rage with blue collar optimism in the face of adversity, Badlands acknowledges the warning of things not being as great as they might have seemed. Even though it has a bleakness to it, Bruce still imbues it with a defiant hope that is typified by his list of beliefs in love, faith, and hope in the lady by his side. And as he says, it ain't no sin to be glad you're alive. I wanted to ask you, talking about inspiration, like, what was your inspiration to get into acting? Like, how did that start? Where did that nugget of fire come from?
Well, you've hit on exactly why, as a young man, I fell in love with Bruce, because I think all young men feel like they want to have something to prove, and they all want to be seen. And, I want to find one face that ain't looking through me. I want to find my place. I want to spit in the face of these Badlands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're not a young, ambitious male and you don't relate to that, then I don't know what to tell you. So he was writing for exactly where I was at that place in my life. And just specifically about Badlands, the song, the guitar solo that Bruce plays. Bruce is a really underrated guitarist. People don't talk about
Agreed.
Bruce as a guitarist a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he reminds me a lot of Neil Young. He's not a technical virtuoso, but he's got such emotion and feel. And Bruce's guitar solo in Badlands that melds into, for sure, Clarence Clemens, one of his best sax solos, is just my favorite thing about that song.
And what's so cool is, like I mentioned earlier, is he played guitars on all of the first 3 records. So he definitely has a sound. And I love that you mentioned the Neil Young sound too, because I hear that, especially on stuff like Lookout Joe. It's a very similar, but also I think, he's probably very influenced by Neil Young. I mean, he's the way the Killers dug on Bruce. Yeah. I could see Bruce digging on Neil and like we said, like the Animals and the Box Tops. There's Alex Chilton, so many. All right, let's dig into a heavier track if we can. Adam Ray's Kane. Bruce's contentious.
That's the one that really. That's what really. That to me, Adam Ray's Kane. The guitar solo on that is a Neil Young guitar solo. I mean, Neil Young will sometimes play one note as the solo, unapologetically. And if you listen to Bruce's solo on Adam Ray's Kane, it's an actual Neil Young solo. And the lyrics, the themes in Adam Ray's Kane are the wellspring of all of the themes that Bruce would write about for the ensuing 20 years. It's an amazing angry, and his vocal is just next level.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research, and you could see it kind of in the trailer for the movie of the relationship he had with his dad, and his dad wasn't the main breadwinner, had a lot of emotional problems. Douglas comes to a passionate head, his relationship with his father, on this biblical barn burner. We now know that Douglas, often unemployed alcoholic, also diagnosed later with paranoid schizophrenic, and all of that definitely did a number on Bruce. But by the time this came out, Bruce had already had huge success. It was essentially a superstar. So it wasn't like he needed to prove anything to his father. not to strike too close to home, but his family left Jersey and moved to California when Bruce was a teenager, but Bruce stayed back in his town of Freehold. This song is very, I'm not going to sit here and say it's hard for me to listen to, but it's like, even reading that sentence of how lucky Bruce was, knowing that, his father had all these problems and his father got to see the success. Me, on the other hand, my dad died in 2010 before I had all of my success. And even if he just would have seen the beginning of it, like me just building a friendship and performing at Garrett Morris's comedy club in downtown LA, my dad would have lost his shit. So familial relationships are often fraught anyway, but every man is in somehow a reflection or a reaction to the relationship to their father, often different versions of that throughout their lives. And you have been very open about when your parents' relationship ended when you were young. I saw that your dad had left the family. You also ended up in California with your mom and brother as a result of that.
Yeah.
Clearly, you've had a decade long of successful marriage and you've become a great dad. I mean, I think you're probably one of the better dads in Hollywood with everything that you've done with your sons. Because you hang out, you work with them. My writer Morty, he has a 14-year-old that he hopes to live long enough to be a cool dad again. So you turned out well. Did you get an opportunity to express things to your dad, or for him to?
Yeah, my dad, God bless him, still alive. He's 85 years old. And as a dad should be, my biggest fan. I once asked Bruce, of all the songs he wrote about his dad, was there anyone in particular that his dad liked? And Bruce said he liked all of them. Bruce's dad's favorite songs were the songs about him.
I love that.
And they were all kind of gnarly. That's what's amazing. It was like, Dad, thank you so much. You made me the man I am. I never heard that Bruce song.
Do you? Because my dad, I always can, when I don't get mad, but if I ever, think about where my dad was in certain situations, I realize my dad, his father passed away when he was very young. Yeah. So he was basically learning how to be a father on his own. What did you, I'm going to say, learn, or have you done differently that you've been able to apply, in your experience being a dad?
It's just what you said. There comes a moment where you have an epiphany, if you have your own kids, where you go, oh, fuck, they were just making it up as they went along.
Yeah.
Just like I am right now.
Yeah.
And you do the best with the tools that you're given.
Yeah. 100%. Anything you want to add to Adam Raise the Cane before we move on to Something in the Night? I know you got your own notes.
Well, no, because Something in the Night is...
Yeah, dig into it.
Is for me, the great forgotten Springsteen track.
Thank you.
Always been one of my favorites. I love this song, Something in the Night, so much. And as I was prepping to come in and talk to you, I was trying to find a way to articulate why. I think it's that great thing that people talk about, feel. The feel is great. I love and by the way, this one, I do think the production is fucking spectacular.
Yes, it's such an underrated song. Even the build up, but giving it time for the piano to breathe. Yes. It eases us into the bathtub. And then the lyrics and then the chorus, everything about this. It's just, does he play this live still, or is this just like
he very rarely plays it live? I've seen him 30 times. I've seen him do it once.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's the melancholy, the yearning. It feels like a companion piece to, as does Racing in the Streets, to one of my favorite Bruce songs, The Promise.
Mm-hmm.
This is the performance, the vocal is amazing, and Max Weinberg's drumming. simple and so dramatic. I think this song's a masterpiece.
I do too. I love that because when I was working with my writer Morty, he was like, just skip over this one. I'm like, what are you talking about? I think this is low key one of the best songs on the record. And I love
agree.
that you said the feel, because out of everything, there is a vibe to this song that really creates the idea that there is something in the night. And that brings me to the question I want to ask you about the feel of what it was like being in something very early on in your career, like The Outsiders, because essentially all of young Hollywood auditioned for these few roles, these like 5 or 6 roles, mostly men that all went on to have huge careers. And we know the story, we know the folklore, but when you were making the movie, how much did you guys feel that what you were working on was going to be this big thing? Because I mean, it's every single one of you. My choice was between the Bruce shirt or the Patrick Swayze shirt that I got at a vintage store in Atlanta. Amazing. I chose Bruce. I went with Bruce.
Well, we knew because we were working with Francis Ford Coppola, who'd done Godfather 1, Godfather 2, sure. Apocalypse Now, which was a seminal moment for me. We absolutely knew we were making something incredibly special, but never had the first inkling that it would be the launch pad that it was for all of us. A quick story, Bruce related, was the river was out at the time, and we were all Springsteen fans. And Francis Coppola used to like to have us improv as our characters. And so we would go to the house where the 3 brothers, the Curtis brothers, me, Patrick Swayze, and C. Thomas Howell lived, and he would want us to live in the house, and he would just sit there and watch us for hours. So, like, it's one thing to do an improv, it's not of a scene. It's another thing to do an improv for half an hour. It's another thing to fucking sit there and have to improv for, I'm not kidding, hours. He wanted us to do this. And finally, we would inevitably run out of things to improv, and Swayze would get his guitar, and we would end up singing Bruce.
No.
And whenever we ended up, and so we would sing, I remember singing The Price You Pay from The River. And but when Patrick would bring out the guitar and we would start singing Bruce, that was when Francis would say we're done for the day, and we could all go out and start drinking and chasing girls.
Oh my God. I mean, just the collection of like the people that are in that film. I mean, it's just, the energy just must have been so much fun. Just a bunch of young guys, just super excited. A lot of them getting their first chances. But by the way, I got to say, they're all Bruce fans. You're telling me is Ralph Macchio a big Bruce fan too?
He's the biggest.
No, really? Karate Kid?
The biggest. He's the biggest Bruce. In fact, I had him on my podcast literally for the second time just 2 weeks ago. And I think we talked about Bruce for half the podcast.
I love that. And I love them. Like, so many have had so many different careers. You've always just had one steady career, but someone like Ralph, who was such a big part of so many of us, to have this resurgence again, coming out with arguably the most popular show on Netflix amongst adults my age in their 40s, and then young kids. I mean, it really is a beautiful thing about just like, as long as you never quit, man, you're going to be fine. It's just stay the course.
I always say, once a star, always a threat.
Yeah. How many times did you go out for auditions with those guys and you're like, fuck, God, Swayze's here again. But God, I love him as my buddy, but I'm still getting this. I mean,
those were the days and my son, John Owen, is a young actor, and so I get to relive my life through him as one does with their kid. And, it's the same thing. He's like, fuck that Austin Butler or whatever. It's like, we all have our peers, right? That we're always like, I was like, that goddamn Kevin Bacon, that's Sean Penn, but there's room enough for everybody.
There is. Everybody, you guys have all done good. You're killing it, dude. Don't forget, guys, new season of The Floor comes out in September. Isn't that right?
Yep, new season of Florida. It's the most addictive game ever. If you watch, you're going to end up having to watch every week and play along with your family. It's one of the few shows out there that is just, the game is so fucking fun and addicting.
Yeah.
That you can play it along with a 10-year-old and you're both equally competitive. It's rare to have something that brings families together, because I mostly now everybody's watching different things on their Netflix queue.
Sure.
And very few people of different ages are sharing the same content. And the floor is one of the few that people are sharing. And I love that.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend, we had to stop watching game shows together because we got into a fight over Jeopardy once, and that was it. So we don't really, we're barely hanging on as we speak. So
understood. Yeah, I get it.
It's tough, but I'll watch it solo when she's not here. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of women and speaking of rooms, Candy's room.
Yeah,
this is likely about Bruce's relationship with Karen Bahari, an artist who also had friendships and relationships with other stars of that era. Yeah, thoughts on this? Like, because this is we thought this might be about a prostitute, or do you know any of the details? Because we're a little in the fog about this.
It's funny, I don't, and I've always wondered, because it very clearly is about a girl with sugar daddies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it couldn't be more clear. And I know, here's what I know about Candy's Room. It's Max Weinberg's favorite Bruce song to play. I know that. Makes sense. The drumming is amazing. It was originally called the Fast Song, without a title. And for me, see, we're talking about albums. What I love about talking about albums is albums are meant to be consumed in the order with which they're presented.
Mm-hmm.
That experience is kind of gone today, because we just buy songs individually, and very few people even put out albums with the intention that the audience is forced to listen to it in the order that you choose to present it. And what I think Candy's Room's strongest thing is that it is the palate cleanser from Something in the Night into the all-time classic, Racing in the Street.
Mm-hmm.
You could never go from one to the other. But, and I don't mean to sound like I'm diminishing Candy's Room, but for me, it's there to cleanse my palate, to really enjoy what comes right after it.
Yeah, this is also sort of like a beat poetry where the piano seems to be playing what was likely the original melody, but Bruce doesn't even sing it too. The bam, 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 the piano just tinkling along. And he doesn't, he's following, but not as much. And I think, like you talked about, we don't listen to music the way that we did. This is still during the Four Corner album, where you have a beginning of side one and an ending of side one, and then the beginning of side two and the ending of side two, which are basically the bookends of what the album is.
That's right.
And I don't know if, and I don't see if it's on here. Maybe it's on the Wikipedia, but I don't know if this is the song that would be ending side.
No, it's, I will tell you exactly. No, Racing in the Street ends.
And side one.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So so that makes even more sense then. So this is a nice way. This is the ginger during sushi. It's like, all right, let me have the sorbet before you bring out another piece of meal in this French restaurant. Now,
because the other thing is, I think that Bruce is arguably our greatest American singer, songwriter, rock star. But when he's at his best, for me, are his mid-tempo songs. And because he can write mid-tempo ballads and he can write mid-tempo anthems.
Yeah.
And you have two of the best he's ever written, Something in the Night and Racing in the Street. And in between it, you have what they called the Fast Song. And I think they called it the Fast Song for a reason, because at some point you got to have the fast song in there. And that's what Candy's Room is.
Yeah. I think this is one of the highlights on the record. in my opinion, and I think it's because I love the way that it goes in between these two, and there's some kind of a beauty of that inspires these songs and more. And I want to focus on that word beauty, because we have had, and there's no way around this next statement, but we have also had on this podcast, we've had John Stamos, John Taylor from Duran Duran, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, some of the most gorgeous men in the history of the world. All of them have had great careers, but very good looking, and of course have matured professionally. We already know that anybody in that era, and still to this day, that, through teen magazines and the posters on the wall, like, how aware of it, all that shit that was going on, were you at the time?
Geez, first of all, John Taylor, I was super aware of, because every girl that I wanted to date loved John Taylor. I mean, and
you talk about when you talk about postering, I just went to see Duran Duran. I didn't think anybody could be that sexy playing bass in a pirate costume on Halloween. He is the man.
He's the
coolest guy.
man.
The man,
I love me some John Taylor. He was one of the few people that when he stole my hairstyle, I was okay with.
But you guys were all rocking the do, man. That was the do at the time. And also, it's like, it's you and John Taylor. I mean, you kind of, do you ever run into him and be like, eh? And he's like, eh.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. We definitely have crossed paths over the day. He's a great dude. He still looks great. Duran Duran, they're still killing it. He's a credit to us all.
Do you ever feel like it worked against you? Because in your career, especially, with a lot of the comedies, like you're almost having such good looks has like almost helped you in something like Tommy Boy and in Wayne's World. I mean, where you can get to play, the good looking guy, but also, have that evil arc, too. It's like, how did you deal with it? And did it ever work against you in certain situations, like booking certain roles or whatever?
Yeah. When I was a kid, it helped me initially, because the teen idol thing was a way in the door, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to prove yourself. I mean, it's not unlike Bruce in that you always have to overcome something. And for me, it was, can I do something more than that? And so it took me maturing into the roles that weren't predicated on any physical appearance, sort of whatsoever. I can remember early on people going, well, I've never seen a policeman who looked like that, so he can't play a policeman. Well, I never saw a surgeon that looked like that, so you can't play this. So finally, with a little bit of mileage on me, I play actual human beings.
Finally.
Right.
Oh, that's so funny, dude. It's you've killed every role you've been in. It doesn't make a difference what you're playing. I'm a huge fan, and like I said, good looking or not, dude. If you had 4 eyes, I wouldn't give a fuck, dude. You rule, dude. So don't even trip. All right. All right. Let's move on to the song, the one and the only, "Racing in the Street." Thoughts on it? I know you have your thoughts here. By the way, what I love about you, Rob, is that every question I've asked you, you've been like, well, this is my opinion. But then with Bruce, and you can spin it right back to Bruce so quickly, dude.
Because I could listen, the only thing that I like to talk about more than myself is probably Bruce. So this is the perfect interview. This is the perfect interview.
Good.
Just talking about my 2 favorite people, myself and Bruce.
All right. Take me to your thoughts through "Racing in the Street," because I mean, this is the song, dude. This is one of the iconic songs. It ends, like you said, the side one of the record. It's a stamp on the seal of what he's laying out to the public. So your thoughts?
It's just a masterpiece. It showcases every element, not only of Bruce, but of the E Street Band, Roy Bittan's piano, Danny Federici's organ. It's so cinematic.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It feels like you're watching a movie. Again, when he says, I want to blow them all out of their seats, that kind of burning ambition to be seen, to fucking compete, to win, to achieve, as a young actor auditioning and trying to fight his way into a really tough business. It really, really, really spoke to me, and it still does. Again, in a reoccurring theme about this album is the live version of it with the extended piano solos and piano intros are just spectacular. And I've heard Bruce dedicate this song. I think one of a really emotional one is the day John Lennon was shot. I think they were playing in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, and they played this song. And there's this amazing video of Danny playing that amazing organ with the tears hitting the organ keys. It's always been a highly emotional song, and what an amazing way to end side one.
Yeah, there's also the callback, but I want to mention on what you said though, because that really got me about being a young actor and talking the idea of racing in the streets is because you moved to Malibu, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
And you're running in these streets with like Emilio and Charlie and Sean and Chris and whoever else. Like, what were those teenage pre-fame days like before you all made it? Like, was there something about Malibu that created stars?
Yeah.
Because that group is just, I mean, monumental.
I think it's a little bit like the Laurel Canyon sound.
Yeah.
It's like, it really is the same thing. There was a moment in Laurel Canyon where it was, the Mamas and the Papas and the Monkees and Jackson
Eagles.
Brown and the Eagles and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Joni Mitchell. And it was like, what the fuck? They all are in Laurel Canyon in 1968 making that music. And Malibu was, similar in that all of these young actors, we all were there at that time and became a part of young cinema movement that really didn't exist before that.
No, it didn't.
And I don't know. I think if you go back and look at history, probably there's well, sure there are. There's the British invasion. They all came from Britain, and there's just times and places where the mana, whatever it is, the energy, all is in a place. And I was very fortunate to be in the place where it was happening.
Because I see that, like, when I started stand-up, it was like kind of, I'm not saying, I'm one of the greats at all, but I think you always see in your group or the people that you're spending time with, whether it was at open mics or hanging out at the Comedy Store, you're like, oh, this guy's going to make it. This guy's got something. I mean, did you, in that group, were you just looking around at someone like, of course, someone like Sean, who I think was already acting at a much younger age, but you could just, was it just like, they always say, if you're the funniest guy in your group, you're hanging out with the wrong group. You need to hang out with funnier people. And that's, one of the reasons I moved out here to New York, because these are the best comics in the world. I mean, did you see that as an actor where you were like, God, these are the guys, man. I've got to be around these dudes, or is it just the Malibu thing?
Well, ironically, I was the most established. I had the most experience as an actor because I came from Ohio where there was repertory theater and so much theater. So I wanted to be an actor way earlier than the others, and
really
done more as the others. They had done more professionally, but they hadn't done more.
Okay.
And Charlie wanted to be a baseball player. He had no ambitions at all to be an actor when I met Charlie. Emilio had not acted yet. Sean had been in stuff that his dad had directed, but very, very minor. And I arrived there going, Hollywood, here I am. Let's go. And and really we all didn't really see each other work until we were auditioning for The Outsiders, and at which point it became very apparent that my little neighborhood was going to be very well represented in that movie.
Dude, I hate to say, I don't know if this is a question I should ask. Was there anybody that was in the group that I'd say that audition that didn't get it? And you're like, all right, guys, we're going to Oklahoma. You stay here in Malibu and surf. And he's like, fine,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be catching these fresh waves.
yeah, have fun. Yeah, because Tommy Cruise was living with Emilio, and that was 3 houses from me, and the 3 of us were always, lifting weights and running and working on scenes together, and all 3 of us got the movie. Which that in and of itself is that 3 of your friends
Oh man, that's
get half
amazing.
the parts in any movie is really a miracle. I mean,
Really is, man.
it's a miracle.
Oh, dude, do you ever still keep in touch with Tom and go, dude, why are you hanging on an airplane in this movie, bro?
Well, he started all that. He started all that in The Outsiders. Francis wanted us to learn gymnastics for whatever reason. I never have understood what that had to do with anything, but if Francis wanted to do it, it was good enough for me. But he wanted us to learn backflips. And I don't know if you've ever tried to learn a standing backflip. It's fucking hard.
I bet.
And you feel like you're going to break your neck. So out of all the Outsiders, who do you think learned the standing backflip and did it on screen?
Tommy Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So he just has never stopped.
It's like, I always like to make the joke. It's just like, he's like, so in this scene, I was thinking about setting myself on fire. They're like, dude, it's a Christmas movie, Tom. Like, you don't need to set yourself on fire.
No, it's like in the Outsiders, if you see it today, it's hilarious. It's like the movie's going on, then the movie stops, and Tom jumps up on a car and does a backflip, and then the movie continues. There's no reason for it at all.
Nah, but it's something about Malibu being the promised land, which is the segue into the next song.
Yes, the promised
land. I mean, this is so iconic. It's so different and so beautiful and so powerful. It's, just even from the title, it really sets you up for a little bit of Bruce in the past and Bruce in the future, and where Bruce is in this moment. Thoughts on it before I do my spiel?
It opens side 2. So again, you have to imagine you've just listened to this album. You turn it over, and this fucking song comes on. It is, look, Bruce has Born in the USA. He has Born to Run. I could go up, and the Rising is another anthem of a different color. But Bruce, no one does anthems like Bruce. I'm sorry, nobody. There's no other band in the world that does anthems. Shake your fist in a stadium of 60,000 like Bruce. And of all his ones, The Promised Land is the granddaddy of all of them. It is there. He has not played a show without doing this song.
Really,
to my knowledge. And it again, as a young man, it has the great line, "Mr. I ain't a boy, I'm a man. You're going to see me for who I am and who I can be and who I will be." And it hasn't lost any power. In fact, one of the things I love about Bruce is revisiting those lyrics as a 61-year-old and singing, "I ain't a boy, I'm a man now," has a very different meaning for me.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And equally as powerful. And just technically, the breakdown in the middle of the song that builds into that amazing guitar solo that builds into Clarence Clemens' saxophone solo.
Shout out to Clarence.
And then into Bruce with the harmonica Bruce. Can we just talk about Bruce throwing the guitar over his back and whipping out the harmonica from his jean pocket and wailing it just doesn't get any better.
I don't know why this isn't covered by more artists. This is a powerful song. I think this is up there with like This Land Is Your Land. Yes. I mean, it could be a protest song. It's so powerful. And maybe people don't cover it because it's just like, it's so Bruce. And it just is so iconic to who he is. And I think there's probably people that could do it justice and really give it the bravado and the love that it deserves. But there is something very special. And that makes me so happy to know, that, because I was actually going to look at the set list from the show that I saw back in like 92 or 93. But it's like, to know that he's still playing this.
Oh, he has. It's the same. If you ask Bruce, he'll tell you there are certain songs that he, Prove It All Night, Promised Land, Badlands. Honestly, he's just never not going to play those. I've seen him not play Born to Run.
Wow.
I've seen him play Born to Run acoustic. I've seen him not play jungle. I mean, he'll retire a song for a decade, but he will never retire these three. And
That's beautiful.
The other thing I'll say about Bruce and the Promised Land, and maybe this is why people don't cover it, is Bruce doesn't do irony. He doesn't. He is the most earnest performer, and we went through a period where earnestness was laughed at. I mean, the David Letterman period of the world, and the sort of REM period of the world. I love them all, but they're not earnest bands. Bruce is super earnest, and a lot of people think, as the English have a great word called twee, which I love. There's a certain group that just rolls their eyes at earnest honesty. I don't. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And I think that there are people who are super uncomfortable accessing their honest authenticity. And the Promised Land is got that in spades.
No, and speaking of becoming a man and honesty, and about longevity and the promises that we make to ourselves, I want to say you have been something of an inspiration to so many people about your honesty, about opening up your decision and your promise to give up all substances. And that's coming from me, someone who has had on and off battles. I had years of strong sobriety, and then recently had a relapse, but, was able to catch it immediately, put the kibosh, asked for help, and have handled it. And of course, my life is back to being manageable. And my writer, Morty, he gave me permission to say that he is class of 92.
Oh,
and we also, yeah. And so we talk about addiction and recovery in a lot of our personal conversation.
Love that.
It's especially important to me, like I said, what I've gone through, but you've also worked with so many people that it wasn't fortunate for, like someone like Chris Farley, like, like what is it that you've been able to do to stay so strong? I mean, you've had 35 years, if I'm not mistaken, or longer, or
35 years sober.
That's incredible, man.
Thank you. Sobriety, recovery changed my life. By the way, I loved partying and using. I fucking loved it. I had a great time.
It's the best.
Great. Come on. Great. If I could still do it and live a life that wasn't full of fucking tragedy and disappointment, I would do it. But I had to get rid of the tragedy, and I had to get rid of the disappointment. So I had to get rid of the drinking and the drugs.
Yeah.
And I did 35 years ago. And you meet the best people in recovery.
You do.
You become the best part of yourself. My big thing was, I was always worried about that me getting sober would be the day the fun died. And it turns out that a certain kind of fun, yes, died.
Yeah.
But a different kind of fun took its place, and a better kind, and a more sustainable kind. And I just know if for guys who are, or gals out there who are listening, who are worried about what social life would be like, what parties, what New Year's Eve would be like, what the 4th of July would be like, what the girls' trip or the boys' trip would be without it. That's a real concern. And and it took about a year, which is not a long time. And then I never thought about it again. I've been very, very blessed. It's been the gift of my life, for sure.
What was the moment? Like, I know, I know you've probably spoken about it in your book, but it's like, I'm not familiar with it. What was the moment where you're like, I'm done?
Yeah. It's, everybody, it's called hitting your bottom, right? That's they call it in recovery terms. And everybody has a different bottom. Some people can be, I got arrested, or I crashed my car, or my wife left me, or I lost my job. And
yeah.
We all have different ones. Some are super gnarly, some not so much. and we're all going to have different ones. I will tell you this though, you keep going, your bottom will get darker and darker and darker.
100%. Yeah.
But mine was, I loved my grandpa a lot, and he had a heart attack, and my mother called me. This is in the days of answering machines. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
For the youngins out there, there used to be a machine, and it was attached to your phone. And you would come home, and and you'd hit a button and go, "You have 73 messages," and you'd play them. And it was my mom, and she was going, pick up. Your grandpa's in a critical condition. Pick up. And I was listening to her leave the message.
Oh wow.
And I couldn't pick up because I'd had a long night.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I got to deal with this. The only way I can deal with this is to get some sleep. And the only way to do that is to chug the bottle of Cuervo Gold that I kept on the bedside table. And by the way, it was Cuervo Gold because that's what Steely Dan sang about. Cuervo Gold and the fine Colombian make tonight a wonderful thing. I took direction for a living. I was like, if it's good enough for Steely Dan, it's going to be good enough for me. I unfortunately missed all the fancy tequila shit.
You're not missing out, dude. You're not missing out. It's not that good.
So I did that, and as I was pounding the tequila to go to bed to deal with my grandpa, I literally looked at myself in the mirror like I was in a bad after school special, and was like, bro, this is it. You're done. And I had been carrying the business card of a drug and alcohol interventionist in my wallet for over a year.
Wow.
I couldn't even keep my sunglasses for a year. I lost my car keys on a regular basis, but I kept this card in my wallet for a year. I had no plans on getting sober, but for some reason,
you kept it.
And I called her, and the next day, I was off to rehab, and so thrilled, so happy, such a relief. I felt like a mass murderer who had finally been arrested. And I was like, oh, good. I don't have to kill anybody anymore. It was great. I loved rehab. I learned everything that I needed to learn. I got tools that told me why I am the way I am. And then I got into recovery, and I met people exactly like me who were nothing like me, but yet exactly. And
totally.
Again, the gift of a lifetime.
It really is. And this past relapse was nothing on the stuff that I had done years before. It was actually something legal, but I caught myself on it. But I love that you said that card was in your wallet and you found it at the right time. And not the exact similar thing, but I got in this bad car accident, which is one of the reasons I do this podcast back in 2012, where I lost one of my best friends because a drunk driver ran a red light in front of the Capitol Records building, killed my friend, almost killed me. And when I was in the hospital and everybody's coming to visit me, Andy Dick's son, Lucas Dick, gives me this book, because people were bringing me books like the autobiography of George Carlin and Richard Pryor's autobiography. But he brought me a book called The Tao of Pooh, which is basically Lao Tzu's philosophies in an easily digestible Winnie the Pooh story.
Wow.
And he was like, this book helped me when I needed it, and I want to give it to you. And I took it and I threw it in the pile with everything else. And then I got clean shortly after, about a year after the accident. But then when I started having all my success is when I relapsed again, because I still hadn't dealt with all that other shit.
Yeah,
which is what you need to do in recovery, is you need to figure out why you use, and you got to dig in, you got to dig deep. And it was like I'd gotten clean again for the last time of the hard stuff that I was on, and I was like still depressed. And then I looked in this pile of books and I saw that book 7 years later, and I read it, and it changed my life. It was literally exactly what I needed in that time. So it was the universe put that space in your wallet, whether it was for you to cut up coke or whatever. It was there for a reason. And that reason is why you're here today. And that's such a beautiful thing. And I love that you're so honest about it, Rob. You're an inspiration to so many people, man. You really are.
Thank you. I don't have any answers. I only have my own experience, but I'm happy to share it, because that's what people did for me, and they showed me the way forward.
Yeah. And I know this is totally off topic, but on a lighter note, is you working with someone like Chris Farley, like, do you have a moment that was just like, you could see the comedic genius of this guy, like, Just because I never got, you know, I was so young when he passed away, but it's just like I don't think there's ever been a force as funny as that human being. I mean, what was that like being on set with someone like him?
Well, I've been blessed to work with
So many.
some of the greatest comedy
Yeah.
geniuses at their peak, whether
Yeah.
it's Mike Meyers or Dana Carvey or Ricky Gervais or Tina Fey or Amy Poehler or Aziz Ansari, you know, you name it. And I've been really Phil Hartman, all the people on SNL that I worked with. And I think they will all tell you that Chris was probably the funniest person who ever lived, in terms of
Yeah.
he would do and say anything to get you to laugh. And he could do that. But Chris had a fatal flaw. And this is what I told my boys growing up. And that is, you make sure you have the right heroes. And Chris did not. His hero was John Belushi. And he ended up exactly like John Belushi. He got his wish. In the end, Chris got his wish. He was like his hero.
Yeah. It's so unfortunate, man. And, you know, that's such a good thing to, you know, because in my dad, like they never used, nobody did. So nobody had any advice about that. It was always just like, he's fucked up again. And then that would be it. But it's like, you know, one of my favorite heroes is Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots. And it's just like, dude, at a young age, I was like, he's fucking up the band. Like he keeps fucking this up. It's like, we want more music. And it literally, you know, I'm not saying it didn't stop me, but it's like, I've always been able to catch myself, even at my worst, where I was like, this isn't the life that I want, you know? And luckily since 2017, 16, it's been solid for the bad stuff, you know, but like I said, it's, you know, it's progress, not perfection.
That's right.
Yeah,
Progress, not perfection. That's exactly right.
All right, let's move on to something a little bit, I guess, lighthearted. Factory. Once again,
Factory, the single most depressing song Bruce has ever written.
I gotta go down the list, dude.
It's literally, I think the word is a dirge. I think that's a musical genre. It's a dirge. I will say this was the one that I would always fast forward over when in the days. But now I like to sing the harmony to it. So when it comes on, I sing the low harmonies and I have a good time with it. I do love his vocal is great in it. And another Bruce line is talking about the factory when he says, you best believe, boys, somebody's going to get hurt tonight.
Yeah, dude. This is another one that relates to his relationship with his father, Douglas, and the latter's life of blue collar work when he was employed, like many of his generation, as well as the potential for Bruce's life to follow that same path, which is like the scariest thing ever. You know, my dad made a lot of bad business decisions and it, you know, almost like really like hurt, like what did hurt our family. But it was that thing that kind of like, I was able to go, well, I'm not going to do that. And that's the last thing I want to do is follow in my dad's footsteps. Not saying my dad wasn't a good man, but just, you know, he did a job that he didn't want. And I was like, I'm never going to do that. Because if you do a job that you love, you never work a day in your life. You know that. I mean,
I always told my kids that exact quote. And Factory literally is, one of the lyrics is factory takes his hearing. Can you imagine?
Yeah. It's heavy, man.
So it's like, you know, Bruce watched a man go to work every day at a job that literally was killing him.
Yeah.
And was like, man, I'm never going to be that guy.
Yeah. Well, look, speaking of the factory, it's like we've heard about the Hollywood factory system of the golden age, and in many ways it still goes on. When did you feel like you had become a part of the factory, and have you ever felt trapped by it?
Well, it's funny. Hollywood is a factory. You know, Detroit is a factory, was a factory, kind of still is, but it's a factory town, and we make entertainment. And like Detroit, sometimes we stop making the Pinto.
Yeah,
and we're gonna focus only on SUVs for a while, which are gross looking.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same with movies. It's like sometimes I stop making the movies I like to make movies that are popular that are gross. and it's exactly what it is. And when they're making the line or lines that you like, it's great. When they're making minivans, it's hard. And you just hope you can navigate through it. But I think that, I've always understood, I think it's my Midwest practicality, that it's show business, and with the emphasis on business. And if you don't reconcile yourself with the business part of the art, you're going to have a very long slog.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons I am as engaged as I still am this many decades in, and still have the amazing opportunities that I get to have, is because I've spent a lot of time trying to reconcile the business with the stuff that made me want to get here in the first place, which is the art.
Yeah, I'm going to move the question I had for Prove It All Night up to this, because I feel like what you're saying is so perfect. And I think probably one of the reasons is because you seamlessly threaded yourself through like teen movies to dramas to comedies to doing like almost like quasi slapstick like Wayne's World or Tommy Boy, into like serious dramatic roles like The West Wing. How do you prepare yourself for that? Or were you training for that your whole life? Were you always a funny guy, or were you always leaning more towards, because it always seemed like you were good at comedy, but it's like, it's like to be able to do serious stuff and comedy. A lot of people can't do that. Like, how do you prepare for that? Or is that even the direction that you wanted to get into when you were a kid?
Well, it's a huge compliment for you to say that. And I'm very, very, very proud of being able to show somebody something as insane as my Tommy Boy character, or
So
even
good,
in
dude.
in Behind the Candelabra or Steven Soderbergh.
Oh my, I fucking forgot about that, dude. You killed it in that, dude. I watched that movie like 6 times. I never thought I'd be so riveted about a weird gay love story, and you playing the plastic surgeon.
I love that movie. I just like to just like do a double feature of pick your favorite West Wing episode and then Behind the Candelabra. And then you go, oh, that's, all of my, again, back to Bruce. It's like, you got Acoustic Nebraska, and then you have Dancing in the Dark. The people who are my heroes can work in different genres. And I love that I can do both, and I don't have a favorite. And again, like Bruce, my favorite to work in is the one that I've most recently not worked in. So if I'm coming off of a bunch of dramas, then I want to be silly and goofy, make fun of myself, and be funny and light. And then when I've done Parks and Recreation, for example, which I love so much, then I want to do something serious. And I just try to go back and forth.
Yeah. What was it like? I mean, working with Sorkin, and I love that, I know that you and Sorkin were kind of like a team together, working with someone. I mean, I think the first movie I saw of it was Malice. Which, it's just such an underrated film.
People forget about Malice. I'm so glad you pulled that card. That was the first time I was aware of Aaron, and I read the script and I auditioned for the part that Alec Baldwin ended up getting.
Wow, you would have been good in that.
But I remember when I got the West Wing script and seeing Aaron's name on it, I was like, this is the guy from Malice.
Yeah. It's an underrated film. I mean, but his dialogue is so specific. He's very much like the Coen brothers, where it's like what they write is what they want you to say. Like, was that hard for you, or was that something you're like, finally, like,
no, it's easy. It's easy when it's like, you're a musician and he's delivering you music.
Yeah.
Beautiful music. Like, the only time I want to improv or quote unquote make it my own is when it needs improving.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't need improving, I have no compunction to try to improve it. And then the joy is in running the route. Like in football parlance, I fucking run a very clean route and I take a lot of pride in it. And And that's what you're doing with Aaron. He has the play. The play is beautiful. He drew it up. And you got to go out and have the athleticism and the discipline and the technique to run the route.
But then with something like Parks and Recs, which is so it's I'm assuming it's loosely scripted, right? And they let you just have fun with it. And so, what do you prefer more? Do you prefer working in the Sorkin world or working in the Parks and Rec world?
They're really different. Parks had a feel of being loose, but most of it was scripted. We would we would get to do every scene we did, which would never happen in Sorkin world. No. We would get to do what we called our fun run. So we'd get the scene, we'd write it, we'd shoot it. Everybody would be happy. In Sorkin world, you're going on to the next scene.
Yeah.
In Parks and Rec world, now you get to do the fun run. And the fun run is literally anything you want to do. And it can be as wild, as insane, any instinct. There are no rules. You can go on forever. You can do whatever you want. And I would say, I would say maybe 10 to 15% of every fun run we did would make it into the show.
Wow.
So that was not a lot.
Yeah.
But when we did, it was magic.
Oh, I bet with that cast, and Aziz is a buddy of mine. We used to work out at the same gym, and there was a lot of hootenanny, we'll call it, of when he did his special and wore the Metallica shirt. People were like, "Oh, he's not a Metallica fan." He's like, "Yeah, he's a poser." And a few months prior, we did a show together at Warsaw here in Brooklyn. I do the show, the Goddamn Comedy Jam, where comics do stand up and then they sing a cover song. Amazing. And Burr was supposed to do it. He dropped out. And then his agent, Mike Berkowitz, hit us up and said, "Would you want Aziz to do it?" And I'm like, "Of course." And he goes, "Well, he wants to play guitar and do a Metallica medley." And I'm like, "Wait, he can play Metallica, like Kurt Hammett solos?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah." And dude, I have video of it. And anytime comedians or any like rock people or music people were like, "That kid's a poser, he's wearing Metallica," I would pull up that video and be like, "Dude, look at this shit." I mean, shredding, Rob. Yeah, he's very talented.
He's a talented, smart, wonderful dude. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, that's so rad. All right, let's move on. Let's wrap this up. We got a couple more songs. We'll speed through these. Streets of Fire. Thoughts on it before we get into anything? You feel like you kind of say it all, so just you take Streets of Fire.
I mean, Streets of Fire, famously, they made a movie called Streets of Fire that everybody wanted to be in, including me. I didn't get the part. It ended up being, I want to say, Michael Pare, who was he was a really good looking dude, and that was sort of that. Diane Lane at the height of her beautiful, wonderful career, and they tried to get the rights for the song. And Bruce wouldn't give it to him, but they kept the title anyway. So there's a movie out there called Streets of Fire. I love Bruce's vocal on this. Love his vocal. Like everything on this album, I think this song is meant to be played and heard live.
Yeah.
I love that when he sings about when you realize how they tricked you this time. Is a great moment in it. Again, angry, seething, aspirational, ambitious Bruce at his finest.
I know it's placed. I think what I love about this record too is how everything is sequenced. Like it feels like he put real thought in to put Factory, and then right after that Streets of Fire, then going in to Prove It All Night. Michael Perry ended up being in Eddie and the Cruisers with a character that's basically a lot like Bruce Springsteen. I just saw that.
Yeah, John and with and the music was by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, which is basically a Springsteen cover band.
Yeah. And so speaking of fire, and so we've already asked you about the streets of Malibu, but now I want to take it into adulthood, and with the moniker the Brat Pack. Upon many a core collection of some of the coolest young actor contemporaries that you work with, that all seem to have found success around the same time. I would say that there's one movie that kind of is the Brat Pack movie, which of course is 85 St. Elmo's Fire, which I saw in an interview. You studied, or you compared the sax solo, or you played the sax solo like Clarence.
Yeah, so when I got St. Elmo's Fire, the character, this tells you how dated the movie is. They were thinking of what is the coolest thing that a musician can be, and it's a saxophone player. By the way, there came a time when there must have been a mandate that went out that you can no longer have a sax solo in every single song. But even Bruce, by the way, had to hide the big man for 10 years.
Oh, dude.
I know. And then he did what album was it after The Rising where they made Clarence's sax sound like a guitar?
Oh, God.
Because the sax had become such a cliche relic of the 80s. But in the 80s, it was a big deal to be a sax player. And I knew nothing about the sax, but I was obviously a Springsteen fan. So I got to know Clarence and I studied him and I learned a couple of things. One was you should only play a Selmer sax. So I made sure that the sax I was playing was a Selmer. I made sure it was beaten up and not shiny and new like Clarence's. And then the number one thing was most people wear their saxes with a clip in the front and you hold it in your chest. Clarence had his rig like a guitar. So it was clipped in the front and then on the bottom of the bell so he could sweep it over his shoulder and look super, again, 80% of it's posing.
Yeah, dude.
So I had them jerry rig my sax to be able to pose super sick with it.
Dude, you kill it. Especially when you say "let's rock." That's the fucking shit, dude. But there's I would say this, and I'm not just tooting your horn because you're here. Out of the 80s sax movie scenes, yours number one, Tim Capella from Lost Boys number two, the sexy sax guy, like
oh my god, remember that guy?
And I still believe. Yep. I mean, yours way more realistic and in a real world. His is like Lord of the Rings, almost S&M, like 8mm Nicolas Cage character.
Well, I think it's the same director.
And Schumacher. Yeah, of course.
I think Joel was like, I couldn't get Rob totally to where I wanted him to be with the sax, but I'm going to fix it in Lost Boys.
Did you go out for Lost Boys? I could see you've gone out for the Jason Patrick role as well. Or were you already a little bit too old to play that character?
Have you looked at what Jason Patrick looked like in the movie?
Yeah, dude.
Maybe somebody somewhere might have been a little bit inspired by somebody else. Dude, and my poster's in that movie.
Is it really?
Corey Haim is at school in the movie and he opens his it's his bedroom. Hello. And on his bedroom door is a poster of yours truly in Lost Boys. So, but no, they never asked me to be in it.
They just bit off your likeness. They
just fucking bit me as hard. Not since Stamos in whatever that fucking sitcom he was in. Did anybody bit my look so hard?
Yeah. Big shout out to former guest John Stamos. He brought Mike Love from the Beach Boys with us. So you should have brought Nils or somebody with you, buddy. Like you could have. Exactly. That's awesome, man. I can't. Let's wrap this up. I know you got to get out of here, but dude, this is so much fun. All right, Prove It All Night. I already asked you the question, so your thoughts on Prove It All Night.
Here's one thing is, my brother Chad Lowe is a huge Springsteen fan, and he has kids a lot younger than mine, and he's introducing them. They're girls. I have boys, so I don't have any experience raising girls. He's got nothing but girls, and he's driving them to drop off in the third grade, and he's introducing them to Springsteen, and he's playing Prove It All Night. And they are rocking out. They go, Daddy, what does he mean by Prove It All Night? And it never occurred to me that it's about fucking all night. It never occurred to me. It's so blatantly obvious, but I hadn't thought of it. I didn't realize that because, Bruce is a lot of things, but he's not exactly the most sexual, probably the least sexual rock star who ever lived. And by the way, if you don't believe me, look at the audience. And so I didn't realize that Prove It All Night is basically a Viagra national anthem.
What's that? There's a part in the Jackson Browne song, I think The Pretender, when it's like, and then we'll do it again. Yeah, we'll get it up again, get it up again. I mean,
well, how about I'm running down the road trying to loosen my load?
Yeah.
Hello. I think Jackson was writing a lot about shit like
Yeah,
that.
dude.
We know that.
Well, Jackson was getting some, dude. Jackson, don't forget, man. Jackson Brown. I mean, he might have the greatest rock star name in the history of rock star names. I don't think anything's cooler than
Well,
Jackson Brown.
Bruce always says that nobody got more action than Jackson Brown.
Oh my God, yeah, dude. He was. I mean, I'm hanging out with him. I've hung out with him a few times, and every time he's such a gently cool dude, and he doesn't
Yeah.
have to do anything, but you're already attracted to just him. And then when he sits down and plays, like any of his songs, it's just he's like he did Doctor My Eyes, and I wanted to fuck him. So. That's how simple it is. But you know what I mean? You start singing, dude, and you got charisma, I'm in, bro.
Well, Prove It All Night is, again, with my reoccurring theme on this album, and it is one of my favorite Bruce albums, is these songs were made to be performed live. And Prove It All Night, again, another one. He I'd say 50% of the time, Prove It All Night opens the concert or is within the first 2 or 3 songs, because he's saying, we're here and I'm going to go all night.
I love that. I love that.
The live version with the guitar solo at the end is just spectacular. But again, these are the anthems he wrote for this album that would carry his live career into the age of 75. He probably wrote these songs when he was in his late 20s.
Yeah.
And he's still playing them at 75.
And the song, I love you talked about hearing these live. The one that I don't know if he plays a lot live, but probably I know it's the title track. It's just, there's something about the darkness on the edge of town, or darkness on the edge of town without it really is. I don't know. It's not my favorite song, but man, is it just get me. And
it is my favorite. It is my favorite Bruce Springsteen song.
Is it? It really perfect.
And it's because he doesn't play it very much live.
Yeah, I saw
because
that.
It's a great song, and I think it's his most cinematic, fully realized. Again, this is the seething Bruce that I love so much. The angry young man, when he sings at the end about I'll be on that hill because I can't stop. I'll be on that hill with everything I've got. Lives on the line where dreams are found and lost. I'll be there in time.
Yeah.
And I'll pay the cost for wanting things that can only be found in the darkness on the edge of town. Those lyrics, powered me as a young man like no other, because I relate. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. What I'm finding I'm never going to find in Dayton. It's going to be out in the darkness on the edge of town, and I will fucking be there on time, and I will pay the cost.
Yeah. And I love that it's the town and it's not a city and it's just a small thing, but it's like, it really does, it just brings up so much emotion in so many ways, and the power of it. And even just the album cover compared to the Born to Run album cover, where he's like having fun, like it's just him looking at the camera, leaning up against the wall. It's you don't know what he's thinking, but it doesn't look good. Like
the bad wallpaper behind him.
Yeah. What brings you Born to Run hope when you're in a darkness on the edge of town state of mind?
Well, again, it's that last lyric it's seething and rageful, but it's implicit that you've got it in you. Like, he'll pay the cost. He'll do what needs to be done. We can handle this. We will prevail. We will get in your face, and we will fucking steamroll you if we have to. And we're going to get to where we need to go. And to me, that's right up there with, I know it's late, we can make it if we run.
Yeah.
Born to Run.
Yeah, it really is.
They're both they both make me they both give me the feels.
Yeah, it really does. It's, Born to Run is such a great record. I mean, we're doing it. I think it's on this list. It's in the bottom 20, if I'm not mistaken, and rightfully so. It deserves to be there. But there, for everybody, and I'm just going to part of my language, everybody that sucks the dick of that record and Born in the USA, in my opinion, this is Bruce. This is my favorite Bruce. This and Nebraska are the Bruces that I'm drawn to the most. I love that they're making the movie about Nebraska and not Born to Run and not Born in the USA. And if they talk about that stuff, of course, but it's even that moment where your buddy Jeremy is talking in the trailer where he says he's doing this now. This is where Bruce is at now, and then he'll change the world. And I love that he had to go through these other records to get to Born in the USA and to really be, because he's already the boss, but that's what made it like solidified. But I love it's just even the fact that HBO did a documentary about this record and not Born to Run. There's something very special about this because this is the record that I feel it really, whereas Born to Run gives everybody hope, this is what's really going on in the middle America and the people that are working in middle class and they're dealing with shit, the real life problems. It's the same reason my buddy Jelly Roll is so popular. I went on tour with that guy and I saw his fans, for 45 different shows, and he's singing not to them as fans, he's singing to like their soul. And they don't just, it's the same way you love him. It's like, you don't love Bruce. You need Bruce because Bruce is what's powered you to get through some of the hardships, the rough times, especially being a fucking actor, which is the hardest. There's no roadmap of how this works. If you want to be an astronaut, there's easier roadmap for that than being an actor or a comedian. But when you have people, whether it's Bruce or for me, it's been like Radiohead or the Beatles or whoever, it's just when feels like they're speaking to you. And there's something about Darkness on the Edge of Town, not just the song, but the album as a whole. It literally feels like it could be written certain moments, like for you, your kids, your friends that it's a powerful record. I think it deserves to be higher. I think they should have, listen, I know people are going to argue with me when I say this. I feel like this should have been switched with Born to Run. I feel like this is his best record. And what a perfect way to end it than with the title track. I think it's perfect. I think it's perfectly sequenced. I think it's his best work. And you're gonna have to fight me on it if anybody thinks I'm wrong.
I'm not gonna fight you on it. And I look at it this way. Bruce has so many great albums of disparate flavors.
Yeah.
But the one that you absolutely must not ignore, if there's one album in all of Bruce's work that you cannot ignore, it's this one. So what does that tell? So what does that tell you?
Yeah, it's like everybody has like, their record that I think that is like the stamp of who they are and especially where they're at in their life. And I think Born to Run is a culmination of all the shit before and the bar bands and the excitement. Like you said earlier, it's like some people have been writing their whole life for that one record. And Bruce was really lucky where he had two prior to the record that then took him to the next level. But I think this is the record that, I think an artist would be lucky to even touch even just a morsel, get one song. If you could write one song as good as one of these, I mean, you're on another level, and this is the record. This is the record that's made me a real Bruce fan. And then sitting down with you, Rob, I mean, this shit rubs off on me, and your excitement and everything. This has been great. So,
thank you.
My pleasure. Please come back. We have final questions we ask everybody. I'm gonna throw a curveball in because you might have already kind of answered one of them, but favorite song on the record.
Favorite song on the record is Darkness on the Edge of Town. It's one of my, it's probably whenever I go to a concert and then I hear Bruce play, that's the one I'm hoping he's going to play.
Sure. And he doesn't play it rarely, right?
No, he doesn't play it. I'd say it's not a deep, rare cut. He plays it, but it's definitely not one you're going to hear.
Oh, dude, I would shit myself if you played it. All right, I think you already said it. What do you skip over? It was the one song. Was it Factory? As you skip over
on this album, it's Factory.
Yeah. Can you fuck to this record?
Well, listen, like I said, Bruce is the least sexual rock star in the world, and I'm gonna have to say, as much as I love Bruce and I ride or die for Bruce, I think you can tell by listening to this interview, I don't think I've ever fucked Bruce.
Good.
Although, here's what's interesting. There is a whole new rediscovery of I'm on Fire right now.
Ooh.
And women and young people are all of a sudden discovering I'm on Fire in a way that's super romanticized and
Sure.
sexualized. I think Bruce is backed into finally having his fuck song 35 years after it came out.
You know what though? There is a cover. You might have heard it, of John Legend doing "Dancing in the Dark," and it's so beautiful. Like he really slows it down with the "Can't Start a Fire," and it's just so beautiful when you take it out of the rock and the boom boom dun, 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 and you bring it down. I think a lot of his songs, you know, like. I'm not saying you're gonna fuck the Darkness on the Edge of Town. I mean,
listen, you could definitely get all cuddly to Secret Garden, and there's definitely stuff out there, but it's again, it's so compelling and emotional and full of story and propulsion and cinema that it's hard to use it as background romance music.
Totally. And also, you know, much like the lead singer of Incubus said when we were talking about Jeff Buckley, Grace, it's like the lyrics are so important. You can't not hear the lyrics. Right. So it will take you, and sex is all about being present. That's right. So you maybe if he does an instrumental record, you know,
which he does apparently on the new 7 albums that came out. There's instrumentals from a movie that never got made. I just found this out, and I'm going to be listening to it in the car on the way from this interview.
No shit.
Yes. All right. Instrumentals.
All right. This is the question I want to ask. It's the curveball. What are your top 5 in order Bruce Springsteen records?
Records? Now, records, does that mean album or
albums? Yeah. What are you put from
I'm gonna
5
go
to 1, or
I'm going to go.
You want to go?
I'm going to go Darkness at number 1.
Booyah.
I'm going to go with
gotta pick 2.
It's really hard. I'm going to go with Born to Run at 2.
Nice.
I'm going to go with The Rising at 3.
Love it.
The River at 4.
Booyah.
And then, just because I can,
do it.
Just because it's a super deep cut and really, 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 really underappreciated, I'm going with Western Stars.
Ooh, wait, is that newer? Isn't that newer?
Western Stars came out about 5 years ago, and it's his homage to the California Glenn Campbell rhinestone cowboy 60s Western pop. It's fantastic.
I'm going to listen to it now. I'm going to go Darkness on the Edge of Town, Nebraska, Tunnel of Love. Then I'm going to do Ghost of Tom Joad. Then I'm going to do Born to Run.
They're all good.
And they're all good. But also not to name drop, I'm friends with Tom Morello, and watching him do the solo on Ghost of Tom Joad is one of the coolest things ever, to turn it into such a cool rock song.
I heard it on the radio, pulled my car over on the street, and I didn't know what the fuck I was listening to. By the way, Tom Morello lives in my old house.
He bought my house. Shit, dude. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
It's so crazy, the small world of Los Angeles, and just like everybody knows each other, and everybody lives like, you know, it's just. Hopefully you were fine from the fires, right? Were you okay when all that was
good? Yeah, I was good. Yeah.
Okay, thank God, man. Listen,
Morello, whenever he's with E Street, it's such a treat. I mean, his if you guys listening have listened to Tom Joad with Tom Morello, it's beyond belief. It might be the greatest guitar solo in history.
I'm going to give you Prince doing While My Guitar Gently Weeps in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I'm with you. Yeah, those two.
I'll sit there and say I've seen so many, and Prince is the fucking GOAT. Tom's just doing what Tom does. No one knew Prince was going to do that shit. You know what I mean? When Tom gets up there for Goes to Tom Joad, you're like, oh, he's about to murder this shit. Prince, you were like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's
why he's the GOAT. Yeah, great moment. But this has been one of my favorite podcasts that we've done. To end this, how do you sum up this record? What's your elevator pitch to get someone to listen to it?
This is, if you don't understand Bruce Springsteen, you don't get it, you want to begin to figure out what he's about, this is 101 necessity Bruce Springsteen. This album has more anthems on it than any other album in history. I defy you to come to me with an album by any other artist that has this many stadium anthems that have stood the test of time. There simply isn't another album that comes close.
I could agree with you more. I think, I don't know if it's the first record you should listen to if you've never listened to Bruce. What would you say is the record they should listen to if for the first record? If you've never, would you say Born to Run?
I can tell you exactly what I tell people. Don't listen to any of the records. Go see him live.
Wow. He's very much Grateful Dead-y. It's like, yeah, it's like he's better. He really is. I mean,
it's not even a close call. It's not even a close. He's just one of those people who you just can't capture what he's like live and what that band is like and what they're like together. They've done, they're more and more recently, they've been able to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say you go to a Bruce Springsteen show and you don't get it, then I give up, because it isn't like I can say, go listen to, God Only Knows from the Beach Boys and you get it. There's just, his body of work, his albums are too disparate. There are too many of them.
Yeah.
Go to a show.
Dude, I know we went over. I can't thank you enough, Rob. This is why I do the podcast, man. You are a fucking gift of a guest to not only know the music, but to also be so open and so cool, dude. I please come back for Born to Run or any other fucking record we got. You can do whatever you want. I would love it.
I could talk music all day. Let's do my pop side. Let's do Fleetwood Mac. Let's do Rumors.
Oh my God, dude. It's coming up. And also don't forget, everybody, season 4 premiere of the Fox hit game show, The Floor, hosted by Rob, airing Wednesday, September 24th. Anything else you want to add?
This has been great. I'll make a list of albums, but put me down for Fleetwood Mac.
Done. Dude, thank you so much.
And maybe Asia.
Done. Thank you, brother.